24, regular council meeting agenda be received for information. The first one is the Ganaraska Regional Conservation Authority, September 19th, 2024, and the Lower Trent Conservation Authority meeting minutes of July 11th, 2024. Did I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, second by Councillor Ainsworth. Any comments or discussion? Go ahead.
To you, Mayor Vogel, I'd like to, I have sent all of council the green infrastructure that is being put forward in some of the documents that we're getting from the Ganaraska board, or the authority. So I thought it would be advisable considering the growth that is expected in the hamlet coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for getting that for us. Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor. So right now, the Lower Trent Conservation is going through their budget process. And it would probably be a good idea for us to maybe have some kind of conversation on what we expect as an increase this year because of what we went through last year. The budget committee has taken it back to relook at it, to make some changes in it. And it was probably going to come out here in our meeting today that I can't make. So I will get those minutes, but I think in the near future, we should maybe have some kind of direction where we are looking at.
I noticed that they were talking in your minutes as well. And I can't remember for sure, but I think they initially asked for a 30% increase last year, and we brought it down to 15 after all of the different other municipalities got involved. Mm-hmm. And when they were, we got it dropped to 15. But I don't think we want to entertain anything more than inflation. And perhaps we got to send them a letter. Yeah, stating that. Go ahead, Mayor, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Logal. I remember the controversy over the budget for Lower Trent last year, and I do understand why the budgeted amount was so high. So I guess one of my questions through you, Mayor Logal, to you, Mr. Councillor Ainsworth, is are you going to continue, or is it the Lower Trent Conservation Authority's practice to fund new jobs out of reserves, or has that step been looked after? Because that was the issue. It was being left to reserves, and that's not appropriate in my estimation.
Through you, Mayor. Yes, I believe that they've looked at that and are going to change the procedure of that. The reason for the big increase is literally just what Deputy Mayor Stover was saying. In the past, they've had zero increases or little increases, and they've been funding a lot of stuff out of reserves. So that can't keep going that way for them, and that's the reason why the increases are so high last year and probably this year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further comments? I would take a motion, though, if we want, that someone, including myself, send a letter to the chair of the Lower Trent saying that we can't afford big increase like we did last year.
Yes, and that would be, I would like that support also. Then when I'm down there, it would looks like it's coming from the council instead of just me. But so I would make that motion that we draft up a letter for Lower Trent Conservation stating what our increases could be.
Okay. Just so we learned, like we did last time, I'll take a vote on whether we receive this information, and then we can put up another good motion. All in favor of receiving the information from the Lower Trent and Ganaraska? The motion is carried. Mike, you have another thought?
Yes, to you, Mayor. So I would like to make a motion that we direct council or staff to come up with a reasonable increase that we could promote with Lower Trent Conservation or support.
Okay. Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Booth?
Well, Or seconded, instead of picking an amount, I like what the mayor said, which is the cost of living or whatever, but we have to tell them something. Like, is it, do you want to have what you had, Mr. Mayor, where you said we don't expect anything this more than what a cost of living would be or something like that? Like, you have to give them some kind of number, Mike.
Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor. So there are avenues. When it boils down to it, it seems like they have the right to ask for what they want.
Mhm.
And it's gotta go,
Before we continue on.
Okay, so I'll second
Yeah,
it. So
yeah,
we'll
Okay,
discuss
go
it.
ahead.
so they do have the right to ask for what they want, and we would have to take it to a tribunal to change it, or it'll come to a vote, weighted vote for the board. If other municipalities felt the same. And that's what happened last year. It came to a weighted vote. And that's how we got the reduction.
Any other comments? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I would just like to say it's not what they want, it's what they need. And at this point, it might be a little premature to do this, but I guess we could put them on alert that we are not expecting a huge increase like we did last year.
Point. Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
I'm somewhat uncomfortable with this process that we are discussing doing. These are independent boards. They
Mhm.
have representation from each municipality. Our municipality does have representation in this case through Councillor Ainsworth. I think that I wouldn't want to be receiving a letter from some other outside organization telling us what we should do as our increase. We are the ones sitting to make those decisions. And I believe that the board is sitting and will make those decisions and do it well.
Any further discussion? Go ahead.
My thoughts, I would concur with that as well.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for the record, so the motion I have on the floor is that a letter be sent from staff to the Lower Trent Conservation requesting reasonable increase based on cost of living.
Yes.
Is that what it was? Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead. Right.
Through you, your worship, the reason I support this is because it's coming from a member on there. And I agree with Mike's comment that sometimes when you have a letter that shows that council's behind you to say, listen, we're very concerned about, rumors of it's going to be a large increase. And I don't think that's unreasonable if the person sitting on the committee is asking for it. If Mike was against it, then I would agree to say, no, let's not send it, but.
Thank you. Any further comments? All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Next, we're going to a 11-2, which is a proposed four-way stop.
11-1.
11-1. Oh, I'm sorry. 11-1, which is the Lower Trent Conservation Authority requesting a rain gauge installation for Centerton. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any questions to staff? I have one. Was there one already going into Roseneath? And this is the second one? I thought there was something that we were talking back and forth, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was Centerton. But they were saying we'd like to get it installed as soon as possible, and we told them another couple of weeks. Go ahead.
Sorry, there was something up on Lily Lake Road when we were working with that resident for the designation of that property as a land trust. The land trust included the monitoring well there. I'm thinking
Not well.
the monitoring station there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's probably
This
what
is
you
the
were
right
thinking about, Mayor Logal.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Going on to 11-2, proposed four-way stop with new stop sign installed on Stewart Road. This is from staff. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor. Just comment more is,
I guess if we're gonna debate, I better have a mover and a seconder first. So moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm just asking for more confirmation. Do we have stop ahead signs and will we be putting up new? Okay, I see that now, but new signs that says that there's an, when they put up new traffic lights, they always put signs up ahead that it's, that they're new lights.
You have a comment to that?
Sure. Through your mayor. Councillor Ainsworth. The roads department crews have to follow Ministry of Transportation Book 7 with respect to signage of roadway. And I do know that that's what is they follow. I also know that they are also doing their recertification training with respect to Book 7 next week. So I would assume that they would be following.
Thank you.
Further questions? Go ahead, Mayor Catherine.
I'm just following up on that through to our CAO. Do we have a policy that is specific to this municipality on replacing signage? Because when I'm looking at this report, it reads to me, some people complained and now they get a sign. I think we need perhaps to have something more solid than that as our process.
Go ahead, Dave.
So first question was with respect to sign replacement. Yes, we do have an evaluation that gets done within the township where signs are supposed to be replaced because they need to be a certain reflection. We need to ensure that they are mounted in a certain fashion. They need to be a certain distance off the ground, visual, etc.
Who's that established by?
I don't know the name of the company, but it is a company that comes in and does it for us.
No, but I think it's the province that specifies that you would have to have that illumination.
So the province through the Ministry of Transportation, again, that's identified in Book 7. So your second question was, do people complain and get a sign?
That's
So-
how it's reading.
I understand your interpretation is indicated. So what happens is that people have an issue or a concern, and they bring it forward. Then that concern comes to council. It's up to council whether they approve this or not. So council sets the bylaw for stop signs for speed on roadways, etc. So whether council feels that there should be a stop sign in this location, your Public Works Department is making recommendation that you do, and that it could be for added safety reasons.
Mhm.
However, it still comes down to the decision of council to enact the bylaw.
Councillor Booth, do you have a comment?
Yes, I'll comment on this. I can give you some more information. This probably occurred 2 years ago.
Mhm.
When Brian, our public works manager, was still there. There was a resident that moved in that has children that stand beside the road waiting for the bus. And currently, this intersection right now doesn't have a stop sign there, and trucks are just barreling over, and she's concerned about her kids. So when Brian attended the location with myself, he actually found out that the intersection right now is illegal. Because where the two stop signs are does not prevent somebody that is coming from east to west and somebody coming from north to south to hit each other, because there's no stop sign preventing them. So the easiest solution was putting a stop sign, a four-way stop sign, making everybody stop. Because right now, I think we're liable because there's no stop signs there that prevent you from stopping. So you could ride right through that intersection and T-bone somebody that has no stop sign on the other side. So the easiest way was to put 4 stop signs just to make sure everybody stops, and it would appease the lady down the street that has children on the street waiting. That it just makes sense.
Mayor Catherine, do you have a comment?
I appreciate the further information that you've just added there, Councillor Booth. And my concern isn't with the specifics of these stop signs, but rather, do we have a policy and process? I know when I was at the Good Roads Conference and they were talking about road safety, which was and is, and rightly so, a huge concern. And they gave examples of where councils thought they were doing the right thing and in fact made intersections more dangerous. So I was just curious, they definitely want it, and we're advocating that every municipality should have a road safety study in place to address these things. So I just bring that back. I know Councillor Ainsworth and I did mention that when we came back from Good Roads.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I'm, um, further on in our meeting, we have a road. What is it called? I'm going to say a speed, road speed. And when I look at that, and I do have spoken to the person that had the children, and I think it's our responsibility that we need to make sure that people are safe. And I do know this sign, this intersection here, and it does need to have the stop signs, but I look at this as a traffic calming thing as well, because now it's not going to be a racetrack. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we're going on to 11.3, which is the Grafton Water System Hydraulic Module Model and Feasibility Study. The recommendation is the council receive report PW 2024-10, Grafton Water System Hydraulic Model and Feasibility Study. And it is RFP P2 2024 for information, and that council award RFP P2 2024 Grafton Water System Hydraulic Module and Feasibility Study to Agile.
Agile? I don't know.
Agile Infrastructure for $49,800 plus HST, and that a bylaw be brought forward for consideration to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into an agreement with Agile Infrastructure for RFP P-2-2024. I can move her to seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth, second by Councillor Ainsworth. Councillor Booth, you have a comment?
Just one question. I read it through twice and maybe I'm just getting old and can't find it. When does it start and when does it finish? I didn't see a start and a finish for this
I've seen it either.
study in the report.
Go ahead, Chief.
Through you, Mayor, Councillor Booth, due to the timelines of needing to get this approved through council, there was no exact start date, but the completion date is 2025.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
Once again, we've got RFP that went out and only received one response. And I know we've discussed bringing back and to look at our processes to improve them. Are we any closer to knowing when those policies and procedures, whatever they are, our RFP policy is coming back for review?
Go ahead, Dave.
I don't have an answer.
Put it on your list.
Any other further questions or comments regarding this? All in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on to where no one wants to get to real quick
Oh,
is the speed report update. It's PW 2024-11 speed report update. And is recommended the council receive report PW 2024-11 speed report update for information. Can I get a mover in a second? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover and seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
Thank you very much, staff, for this. This is a really interesting report, and I can
sure
tell you
is.
why, because one of the streets on there is my street. It wasn't me that called in for this. It was my neighbor down the street. I know down by her piece of property, they really speed. So I did find out from Susan that they put a black cat there for a couple of weeks, and we're supposed to be a speed of 80, which I think is really fast, but they had cars clocked down there going 127. So that's pretty bad when you have kids out front and everything like that. So I do know the next step was the Public Works Department, I think a week or two ago, put that actual signage, the thing that this council purchased, which flashes and said it's 80 and your speed is, and I think it's really helped a lot. So hopefully other communities, I'm sure there's lots of more communities in here that have the same thing with people just barreling down there. I do know even when I go down there that you see that sign and it shows your speed and you tend to make sure that you're checking your speed. So just wanted to say that this is a very good thing from staff, and I think it's really going to help the community.
I would like to clarify one thing, and I could be wrong, but I think communities, policing, when they folded, they bought at least two of those.
They
two-
bought
two
one
systems.
anyway. Mhm.
That's just to make it clear. Okay, go ahead. Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Lowell, this, a speed sign is different than a black cat.
Yes.
It doesn't, what's the difference?
Black,
Yes.
I can comment on that. A black cat, you wouldn't recognize it. It's just a thing that they hang on a post.
Oh,
and You
okay.
don't have any idea that you're being recorded.
So I should smile when I'm going by.
Well, you should slow down if you're going too fast.
But it doesn't take photographs or anything. It's a small black box, like John said, they put on a hydro pole for 2 weeks. Doesn't take pictures. It just records the time of day and how many car traffic, right, Dave? And how fast or how slow, because there was one as slow as 16 kilometers an hour. And I just joked with them. I joked with them. That was me just walking the dog or something, but.
Go ahead. Deputy Mayor.
The other huge piece of information is not only the speed that these cars are going, but the amount of cars that are going up and down the station road, 8,000.
We got a meeting going on up here. I appreciate listening, but thank you very much.
So the station road, and this was a 2-week, was this on here for 2 weeks? I'm not sure. But this is 8,009 vehicles all in around here. Like, that's a massive amount of vehicles coming and going out of there. And we are now looking at increasing with the subdivisions that are coming in. I'm just not sure if that information could be passed on to the planning department. I don't know. That was the first thing I looked at. And Old Danforth, 3,315, and the top speed is 97. That's
And just for clarification, I live on that street,
that's why I said it.
but I didn't make the complaint.
No.
Or I didn't make them aware of it.
This is like Mossport.
Yeah, and I will make the other comment. People may or may not know that I walk a little bit. And you'll see that there's 5 kilometers an hour. That's the lowest it can go.
Is that you?
Yes, it does. Every time you walk by it, it does.
Oh, well, I suggest you go a little faster then.
I gotta get a bigger dog to put in it. Joking aside, I.
Yes. Mhm.
Couple of comments. I think we have to, as you've mentioned, I think we got, I'm not sure, Dave, maybe you can help me with that. We need to know how many days or how many hours that is there, rather than just put there for 2 or 3 days, because I think there's a lot of information that we could pick up on that. And the other thing that is as important or more is, my question is, who do we share that with, or do we share that with anybody?
Through you, Mayor, we shared it with you and council because you asked for it. But the vehicle count aspect, what we started this year, with respect to what roads get upgraded or will be added to the list based on the roads needs assessment, we are also doing a car count
Oh,
just to
that's-
ensure that the traffic that is on the road justifies the expense of upgrading the road. So they're used multiplex opportunities. The aspect about the dates of when they start and stop, that information is recorded. And it is available if you want that in the next report.
Thank you. Mary Catherine?
No, I think this is very good information and I hope it is being shared. I know we have some consultants looking at the safety issues in and around the schools in Grafton there, and this would probably be of assistance to them. But I look at McDonald Road, I look that it's the one that had the highest speed on there. There's no signage, so there's probably an opportunity for us to improve signage along McDonald Road. But in both cases, these are areas where there's a lot of pedestrians, not just a lot of cars. I never drive McDonald Road, and I do frequently drive it, and there's always pedestrians when I'm driving it. But certainly in the school zones down there, there's a lot of pedestrian issues. So it's not just car issues. that need attention on these sites.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor, just a question. Do we share this information with the OPP? Only because, you know, you look at McDonald Road's 50 kilometers and someone did 138. You know, Brookside Road, 127, it's 80. So, looks like it should be a road, and I've seen these come up on different reports that we've seen from these these machines. So, I don't know if we're doing that, great.
I can comment, as part of the new Northumberland OPP committee. They are reporting, some other municipalities are reporting that to the Northumberland OPP, and in my opinion, we should be doing that as well.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Yes.
council, I really would like to put to rest the fact that staff might not be doing their job. Staff absolutely are doing their job in all aspects of their jobs and job requirements. The reporting information is absolutely being used as part of the safety study in Grafton that was approved by council.
Thank you.
The information on speed is absolutely passed on to the OPP. And the OPP is absolutely actively engaging in more road enforcement as we require it. And our Mayor Logo has reached out to the OPP as well. And they are actively here doing it. So I would like to assure council, and to avoid any further questioning or suggestion that staff are not doing their jobs, that they in fact are.
Go ahead, Councilor Ruth.
Through your worship to CEO, thank you for that, Dave. That's nice to know. I'm just wondering, is there any way that we could have some information through social media out to the residents that this is something that they could request? That if people think that they have an issue on their street and people are zipping by, you know, and I can't even remember, Dave, how we do it. Do they go through the complaints and comment form? Is that how they do it? Or would they contact Susan directly, and maybe some on Facebook or something to say, if you think you have an issue, because people do accuse the township, oh, they're not doing anything, when really speeding on there is more an OPP thing, right? So.
Want to comment, Dave?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, Councillor Booth, that is something that we can do. We are looking at doing a public education campaign for Local Government Week that's coming up next week, which will focus on the services that the township provides and the departments that provide them. So that's something that we can certainly make mention of as well.
Good. I think that would be a great idea. Thank you.
I will add.
Go ahead.
Through your mayor to council. So that information can go on social media, it can go on our account, but I would highly recommend that we make that so that no one can comment on it. Because information, as you know, that goes on social media can take any path that it so chooses. And it would not be appropriate for township information to be used with any sort of negativity. So I would make recommendation to the clerk when we do send that information out, that we make that so that people cannot comment. People so choose to take a picture and share it on their own page, have that, but I can just see things in today's world of social media and negativity not going appropriately for the township.
It's a good point, Dave.
Mayor Logo, I just, if I may, to Dave, are we able to get, and this would be strictly for the planning department, when I look at Station Road north of Grafton at the public school, 8,009 vehicles. Are we able to pinpoint well, I know when they're mostly are going, but that would maybe help. How much more data can you zero in on the times and that sort of thing? Or the daytime and the nighttime?
So with respect, through you, Mayor Logo, with respect to the safety study that has now been completed and we're waiting on the final report.
Would that be in there?
The information that you have today is not what goes into the entirety of the project. First comments by those doing the safety study, Grafton is not pedestrian friendly.
Okay.
So that comes from their their time and experience in their positions and in what they do in doing a safety study. You have to realize that the planning that goes into it and should go into our developments of streets, subdivisions, communities, has to be taken extremely seriously, and very careful thought and process has to go into it. So the counts that you might have today are one thing, depending on the time of day or another. But really the overall planning and the rules and regulations that you have to meet to today's standards, Book 7 being one, AODA being another. I do believe that the study that's going to come back to council will be a very good eye opener as to
Okay.
what it should look like.
Thank you.
Mayor Johnson, your final comment?
Just to follow up a question on that. So I know that when we looked at the new Danforth and we were talking about sidewalks and pedestrian safety at that public meeting, it came that we do not have a sidewalk policy, and so the developer. So you're saying that that will follow from the study we're receiving, or should we be actively working on that at the same time?
Okay.
Through your Mayor Logo, Councillor O'Neill. So your safety study will identify a ton of recommendations. Then it will become the planning process, not the planning department, but the planning process through your public works department on what the municipality can afford and what it's willing to bite off. So it will become step 1, step 2, step 3, and we will be able to go through and address it. But I would wait until that report comes through and then we will be able to address it.
Thank you. Further questions? Good report, Dave. Thank you very much. All in favor? That motion's carried. Next, we're going on to 12-1, Sullivan Memorial Arena Needs Assessment.
No, no,
No,
I
you gotta look.
think you're there. I think you've missed the truck.
Okay, pardon me. I got too many scribbles. Public Works Tandem Truck Report, PW 2024-12, Public Works Tandem Truck Report 10 October 2024. And the recommendation is that council receive report PW 2024-12, Public Works Tandem Truck Report for information, and that council authorize staff to issue an RFT for the purchase of a single axle power / sander truck to be funded from the Public Works Capital Reserve in 2024. Got to get mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth, second by Councillor Ainsworth. Hey, go ahead, Greg.
I really like this report, Mr. CAO, through you, your worship, to CAO, in discussions with the Public Works group, and that the truck that we did get permission to order this year looks like we're not getting it until next fall. And that's the problem when you order these trucks now, and fire trucks, it's like a 2-year wait. Staff has really thought outside the box, and they figure with they can get away with this single axle plow sander truck down in Grafton because it's more like a normal household instead of out here in the country. And I think it's great that with this purchase, we will then be at full operation for winter time with all the trucks, right? So thank you. Very good report.
Any other comments? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have the Parks and Rec department reports. That's Sullivan Memorial Arena Needs Assessment, PR 2024, Sullivan Memorial Arena Needs Assessment. For today's meeting, and it is recommended that the Council of the Corporation of Alma-Cullivan enact as follows: that the council receive report PR 2024-02, Sullivan Memorial Arena Needs Assessment for information, and that council instruct staff to issue the RFP to conduct a needs assessment for the existing Sullivan Memorial Arena, and that council accept the building condition assessment conducted in CCI Group in 2016 as sufficient and still reasonably applicable to the current condition of the facility. Can I get a mover and a second?
I'd like to make a motion to defer this so that staff can go and look at this and increase the clarity of this. Sorry, a motion to defer. I'll stop there.
I have a motion to defer. Your seconder?
I'll second your discussion.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, as a matter of procedure, we'll have to get the motion on the floor first before we can do a motion to defer the matter.
Okay. Thank you. I have a motion to, is it, someone gonna make a motion to move the, what's prepared?
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes. It is recommended the council of the corporation.
Can I just get a moment just to review?
Yep. Thank you. So you want me to read it again?
Yes, please.
Okay. It is recommended that the council and to clarify, you cannot defer unless unless you already got a motion on the floor. It is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Allen McCullough enact as follows. The council receive report PR 2024 for the Hullivan Memorial Needs Assessment for information, and that council instructs staff to issue the RFP to conduct a needs assessment for the existing Hullivan Memorial Arena, and that council accept the building condition assessment conducted by CCI Group in 2016 as sufficient and still reasonably applicable to the current condition of the facility. Can I get a mover in a second? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth. Second by Deputy Mayor Stover. Councilor Ainsworth, you have the floor. You want to make us start?
Through you, Mayor. No, I think this is a great idea. Glad to see this coming to council because this is something that we're looking for to move things along. I don't know, this is now probably our third report on something like this, and we've asked staff to get this done. This is great. Stalling it is just going to increase the timeline of what we're doing with the Grafton Arena and getting things done. So I'm for it. I've read the 2016 report on the for the condition assessment, and it actually, I think it's a pretty good report. The arena is our biggest center. It's our biggest user. It's in the proper spot, and the study clearly says that we need an arena in Alma-Coleman Township. So it's a great little study, and anybody else that hasn't read it should read it.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
To you, Mayor Logal. I did read the 2016 report. I guess one of the things that stands out in me to me is the let me get to my subject. Haldeman Memorial Arena site needs assessment. And I'm wondering if that could be an inclusion in that line, because I just want to make sure that this isn't just zeroing in on the arena, that this, and I agree that this is a 2016 building condition assessment. And when I do read through it, it says, if nothing gets done with this in 15 years, it's out of its life. So I think we're getting there really fast. So the report title, I'm just wondering if it could be the Haldeman Memorial Site Needs Assessment, and if that would encompass more the community and what should be on that site. And I'm not saying either way about the arena, but I'm just wanting to make sure that it's inclusive of that site.
I've got to ask a question to perhaps you or anybody else that wants to comment. Baltimore has two arenas. One is ice, one is not ice. but it's still called an arena. Right? Or can you comment on that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's referred to as the Baltimore Recreation Center as a whole. So it has, there's two facilities that are connected with that. One is their old original arena that was converted into a turf indoor field house. And then the second is the new arena that was built 25 years ago now.
Okay. That was my point. Whether it's an arena called an arena or whatever, I think it's gotta be looked at and see what the community wants. And I tend to agree with what you just said, that if we don't get going on it fairly quickly, we're going to lose that 15 years that we started building. And I think that's something we have to do for the residents.
May I, Mayor Logal? My only concern is that it encompasses more than just the arena, that it encompasses what we need as a community. When I looked at the RFP, it does say a needs assessment for the community. And I just want to make sure that it's encompassing like a community center or whatever it's going to look like. So I just maybe if I may, Mayor Logal, could I ask Dave what his thought is?
I think.
Oh, pardon me. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, for you, Mr. Mayor, the RFP document itself does outline all of those deliverables that go outside of the traditional ice facility that you're commenting on. So talks about a number of different recreational opportunities at the site.
And social. I would also be looking at the social aspect of it as well. Seems that I'm not going to be donning any skates.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think you got it addressed. Mary Catherine?
So, I did begin with saying I wanted to defer, and it's for the same reason you're identifying, Deputy Mayor Stover, that I do feel, and this is in no way reflecting, you did not have very long to pull this together. And I do very much appreciate that I am seeing language lifted directly out of our Parks Master Plan. So I am very pleased to see that. I think we're definitely in the right direction. I didn't see in there specific reference to the Parks Master Plan, and that's where this is being looked at. I have concerns that, and it's fair enough, if that's what we're doing, it's what we're doing, but this is premised on a replacement. And my understanding from what we were doing here as council is that we did want to look at options such as refurbishing, which I know there are certainly members in the community that do want to see what it would look like to refurbish that site, or to repurpose that site. To Baltimore there, that turf is exceptionally well used, and that relationship with the indoor soccer has been a huge asset for Baltimore. And so I would like to see it coming back with a little bit more clarity and specific reference, and which brings us to the building condition assessment. It's fine if we don't do a building condition assessment if we're not going to use that building. But if we are going to use that building, whether to refurbish it or to repurpose it, we need current numbers and current information to really guide our decision making and to understand the finances involved.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Logal, to Jeremy, what is your, I guess, opinion, or because of your knowledge, let me withdraw the opinion. Dave. What would be your thought process on using this very in-depth building condition assessment and then getting a new one? What more do you think you'd find out?
The recommendation brought forward is to proceed with the needs assessment that will notify council and staff of what is needed by the community for the community. At that point, feasibility studies could be conducted if a continued use of an existing facility for another 30 years or however long into the future. At that point, then I would suggest at that point is a good use of money to then conduct the assessment of the condition of the existing facility, but until the needs are known, staff have reviewed and accept the condition assessment from 2016.
Mayor Logal, if I may just have one, just one clarification. Looking at funding from the different government sources, would this be pertinent? Or would you have to eventually have to do a feasibility study, a new one on the building? Well, this is a 2016 document. And depending on what the needs report comes up with, and if it was for a new arena or if it wasn't, but I'm just wondering, can this 2016 document be used for funding purposes? I guess maybe that's out of your, would that be out of your realm?
I would just say it depends on the.
How we
the
get
funding
along.
Source.
Mm,
and
okay.
requirements that are outlined in.
Okay, thank you.
May I address? Yeah. Through your mayor to Deputy Mayor Stover. To provide a little bit of clarity or maybe to daylight some of the things that have been happening. Jeremy has been actively applying for 2 individual grants
Okay.
that the province of Ontario has identified are available until October 29th. One is to assist and find money to fix, rehabilitate to a degree the existing arena. The other is to apply for funding to build a new one, which is the first one is about 150,000 to 1 million. The second one is up to 10 million. In meeting with some prominent business people and a donor, the recommendation is this. We can sit back and talk for hours, days, years, that we can't afford things. Or we could go forward and we could start to plan and try. And we could try to obtain through grant funding, through these needs assessments, through fundraising, and try to achieve as much as we possibly can. All the while that these assessments are being done. And then when we have finally reached the plateau that we can no longer achieve more money, then we could settle on what we've achieved and build what we've earned. There's 2 ways of looking at it. One is glass half empty, the other is glass half full.
Thank you, Dave. And I'd like to make a comment, and I've heard from this council and other councils before is we've never done it because we're afraid to do it. And if we're never going to do it, then we're getting exactly what we expect.
What we've got.
And I don't know what the answer is, but if we, as Dave says, if we sit here and hope something's going to happen, it ain't going to happen. We've got to drive it. Go ahead, Mike. Is that your next?
Through you, Mayor, but thanks for that comment, Dave, 'cause you did answer some of my questions that I had. But I just want to reiterate that this arena has to last. If we're going to build a new one, this one still has to last. So this refurbish of this arena has to be part of the equation because we can't let the kids down, the users of that arena. And we need to make sure that that's part of it. And so it's part of this whole assessment. You know, this 2016 talked about that, or you would keep this old arena running if you were going to build a new one and then decommission it as the new one came on board. And we have to keep that in our thought because, you know, if we get past this year, that's great, but we got a couple more years, 3 years before we ever get to where we're going. So refurbishing that arena has to be part of the equation.
Thank you. Mayor Catherine?
I'd like to make an amendment if I can.
Oh, you got that all highlighted. Do you need it angled?
So it
That
reads
Dave?
right now that council accept the building condition assessment. And I believe if we look back to the resolution driving this, we referred to it as a facility condition assessment. Either way, that we, I'm not sure what the right word is. It is that we will only proceed with the facility condition assessment if from the needs assessment. What I'm trying to say is what you just said, but I'm not sure how to word it, where if at the end of the needs assessment, it is saying to go ahead with refurbish or rebuild, repurpose, that those, at that point, we would do the facility assessment, but we do not need to proceed with it at this point. We would proceed with only the needs assessment at this stage, and then leave the question of the facility condition assessment until we receive the results of I talked enough that I got to where I want it, which is that we would leave the facility condition assessment portion until we receive the results of the needs assessment.
Only if it's appropriate, because she's asking for,
Oh, sorry, we
An
would need a
amendment.
seconder, I think.
no, I'm not allowed to second.
Would you like to second it?
Can I make a comment before we get a seconder? I think the recommendation here is not appropriate, number one, because the motion was made by the last council that said that we are asking for an RFP for a facility assessment and a needs assessment. This is asking for permission not to do the building condition assessment. I think if you want to proceed with this, somebody has to reconsider that motion. Otherwise, it stands as what was passed is that the RFP will contain two things. So I see what you're getting at, Mary Catherine, but I don't think you have to go that way because staff is asking to accept it. That's not in the motion. The motion was two things we wanted, the facility assessment and we want the needs assessment. I like what you're saying, Mike, I agree, but look at what you're looking at in the RFP. There's no mention in this RFP about refurbishment. They're talking about an NHL size rink. So if they go to an NHL size rink, you're tearing that building down.
And we're not there yet.
So that's what this RFP is looking at. The idea I thought that we were looking at was get the facility assessment done because we had an expert come to us who was the director of Port Hope Parks and Rec and advised us, if you're going to spend some money on the refurbishment in there, then make sure that that building is going to last for the next 30, 40 years. There's no use in spending $2-3 million on boards and floor and the ceilings falling apart. And that makes sense to me, right? That's why I voted for, let's assess what we have there. That report that was done in 2016, that's almost 9 years old. So we need somebody to look at that and then come back to us and tell us, you know what, the building's had it. Your only option is a new one, or yes, you know what, the building's in pretty good condition and we can look at rehabbing it or rebuilding it or whatever. Because I thought we were going to have three options, which is how much would it be just to fix it and we keep running? How much would it be to add stuff to it and keep it running, or what was a new build? So a point to you, Mr. Mayor, just so that you know, I think the recommendation is not correct. I think even to move this, you would have to have somebody reconsider.
I would like to comment. First of all, I don't think it matters whether the chicken or the egg comes first. They both have to be done, but to tie them together just continues to slow us down. So let's make a decision that we do a needs assessment, which probably makes most sense to me, because that tells you what the community needs, and then go and make sure that the building is capable of doing that. And if you're doing anything else, that doesn't make any sense. And I think, to comment on your other previous comment, I think we've got a very good man here that's doing the job for us, and that's his recommendation. So the fellow in Port Hope, good for him, but I don't know if I could, I trust him, but I'm getting a different opinion.
Mayor Logal, if I may.
Can I jump in?
Mhm.
Mayor Logold, as a matter of procedure and appropriate governance, Councillor Booth has a point. And I think that our clerk needs some time to look at that to render a decision on that. So I understand where Councillor Booth is coming from. With respect to the building condition assessment. Jeremy did speak to me in length about it. I'll take this one on the chin. The reason why we did not include a building condition assessment is because there was one done in 2016. Councils over time decided to not put any money into the arena. So the question is, do you think it got better? Do we need to spend the money on a condition assessment when we've done nothing to it? It's a point. So I said to Jeremy, please go ahead with your best recommendation, which was to start with the needs assessment. That's why, but I do understand as a matter of procedure,
It's procedural.
the motion that was put forward.
Okay. How can we do that? How can we do? I need to take a 5-minute recess. 10-minute recess, pardon me. And we'll come back and finish this up.
Oh, Mayor Logo, could I just make one more point? At the time of us making this recommendation for this RFP, Jeremy wasn't sitting in the chair, so that might have made a big difference in how we worked it. But I do agree procedurally that we have to do something here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I get a move in second and take a 10-minute break? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Booth. All in favor? Carried.
My lunch. We're getting there. You're getting hot in the hot seat. You having fun yet? We are getting there. But you gotta look like you're not.
I'm open for whatever.
Not feasibility, it's.
But if you.
Yeah.
Try this one, you need an arena.
Yeah.
Never once did it say that he does. We need an arena.
Hmm.
Jeremy?
Do we want that? Because the old people can't skate around that.
Go in and tell us what's up with the facility and do the community needs assessment. So what is the community?
That's, yeah,
This and that.
that's what you need, not what you
And
want.
tell me what's wrong with the building. If you don't tell me what's wrong with the building, then you can't go and just rehab it. I'm favoring you want to just fix the fucking, tear the boards and all, so.
Yeah.
Everything. Yep. And it is what it is. But
Well,
that's-
this is,
that our-
no,
This old one does,
But-
right? This old assessment that they don't want to.
what, the Q16?
That's. If they talk about it, they don't talk about the structures. The ice maker.
That we have, and that has been,
Over the last 10 years, we put in each other, we put stuff in there. that-
Yeah.
I'm just concerned if we go to what's on now, they can $60,000. Your best idea to do it. Building within a year, 2 years at the most, you could have something coming in.
So. But it isn't. Well, yeah, sure. And then you should. And then we can. And then like. And it's. Again. That's what you need. What more do you want to get? 30. Yeah. I'll read you. The original motion said two things. Well, we I don't. We didn't have that. Oh, I think. Anyway, that. And then we're gonna be on down. I think. When you look at this tension based on the.
Okay. We're ready to go back. I've got some expert advice from our Madam Clerk. And she is recommending the following. That the motion currently on the floor, which was that council received report PW 2024-12, Public Works, oh shoot. That council received report PR 2024 for the Haldeman Memorial Arena needs assessment for information, that council instructs staff to issue the RFP to conduct a needs assessment for the existing Haldeman Memorial Arena, and that council accept the building condition assessment conducted by CZI Group in 2016 as sufficient and still reasonably applicable to the current condition of the facility. And that was moved by Mary Catherine?
No. I would.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joan and Mike. And the clerk then advises we have to that has to be withdrawn. And it has to be a full vote of everyone, correct? Or not? Okay.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, it's just through a general consensus amongst all 5 members of council. If that wishes to be withdrawn, it can come back at a later point because we have not made a decision on it at this point in time. So should we get 7 steps ahead of where we are now, then we can go from there.
Okay. Withdraw. So we need to move in a second, or do you have to go back? Okay. There's a motion to withdraw. All in favor?
Sorry,
Okay.
through you, Mr. Mayor, it's just a general consensus. There's no vote required to withdraw at this point.
Okay. Pardon me.
So if all members are in favor or against.
That's correct. We're doing the report as it stands. Yes, you're the expert.
Through you, Mayor Logos. So through the debate, it was brought up that perhaps we need a motion to reconsider the original motion that was approved back in July 23rd's meeting, which was resolution 2024-07-23-17. So in taking the recess and reviewing it, it would be in order to reconsider that motion, given what the new information has been brought forward by staff. In order to do that, however, we would have to withdraw the current motion on the floor because a motion to reconsider cannot be made while there's another motion on the floor. So if we withdraw the one that we're currently discussing that came forward in today's report, that allows us to then go back and do the reconsideration of that July motion. At that point, council has the option to put a motion to reconsider on the floor, which is simply a yes or no debate situation, whether or not you want to revisit that original motion, which I will reread to refresh everybody's memory. And then at that point, it's in council's hand if you want that original motion to stand, and that's what you want to see staff bring back, or if you're willing to consider the new information brought forward by Mr. Giles. And then there's a few more steps after that, but one thing at a time.
So if I understand you correctly, the first one that we have to agree in principle with is to withdraw. Everybody okay with withdraw? Good. Everybody is willing to withdraw. Now, we need a motion to reconsider 2024-07-23-17. And since I can't remember exactly what that said, perhaps you can help us, Madam Clerk.
Can I get a mover first?
Oh,
To reconsider it, and then I can.
can I get a mover and seconder to reconsider? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth.
I'll just read it. So the motion that was asked to be reconsidered, there's a lot going on procedurally right now. The motion was asked to be reconsidered was the 2024-0723-17, which is council enacts as follows, that council give direction to the CAO and staff to commence preparations for an RFP to hire a consultant for the completion of a feasibility study of the Haldeman Memorial Arena, and that the RFP also include a facility condition assessment for 30-year lifespan, detailed needs assessment study, and conceptual designs for 3 options, and that staff bring forward a report and draft RFP to council for approval before issuing, and that the requested reports be funded as recommended by the treasurer, and that the CAO and staff prepare a report and recommendations for the October 8th, 2024 regular council meeting with a plan to proceed with the hiring of a contractor through the tendering process to begin the project by January 25.
Thank you. So that we need a motion. Now, I need a motion to reconsider. Can I get a mover in a second? Yep. So reconsider it. I keep putting it back on the board. Yes. Yes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Silver. Seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any discussion? Here, Catherine?
Sorry, let me think for a minute. At the point when that motion was brought forward, there was in my view, there was a desire from members of this council to look at the opportunity for refurbishing or repurposing of the facility.
Motion is to reconsider,
Oh, sorry.
and then we can discuss anything else when we're in the right to do that. So the motion is to reconsider. All in favor? That motion is carried. I can't read, so. This is what was decided on the July 23rd meeting. So we're going to get our Madam Clerk to read that to us and then see where we go from there.
Okay, so the motion that's on the floor for